Here.
Mr. Myers.
Excused.
Mr. Miller is here. Mrs. Stellini.
Excused.
Mr. Zorn.
Here.
Mr. Riley.
Here.
And Mrs. Allen.
Excused. Next item, please.
1.06, read 180 update. Sorry, 1.05, approval of the agenda.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Masters, support by Mr. Mills, that we approve the agenda as printed. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item.
1.06, read 180 update.
Good evening. I just wanted to give you, share some of the data that we have this past year. We implemented in our 6th through 8th grade reading enrichment courses using Scholastic's Read 180. We, in the fall, before school started, were able to have 2 days of professional development with the teachers and learning the basics. There's a lot to learn when you have a new curriculum coming in, a lot of information. The cool thing that I really liked about this program is they supported that afterwards with a coach. We had Bill, was our coach, and he would come into the district about twice a month, roughly, and work for 2 days in the classrooms with the kids and the teachers hands-on, which was great. We also were able to have him come in twice throughout the year and do professional development with the teachers. And he also did a half day with principals to be able to show principals how they could be pulling information. Part of Read 180, a small part of it, is actually using software. We used iPads for that. Beginning of when we started the fall, we had some tech issues. There were some, it's technology, right? We have different things that go on. So as we look at this data, I just want to kind of put that out there because from what we have been told from Scholastic of how our data turned out, it's pretty impressive with some of the issues that we went through. Scholastic comes in and does a mid-year and an end of the year, so what you have in front of you is part of their end of the year report that we're just going to look at. I just kind of highlighted. They actually flew in Dr. Tracy Whedon, who is from Texas, to go over this report with us, which was really cool to have someone. Tracy's actually been in the district. This is her second time in the district. She met with Miss Allen and Miss Winnie and a couple other of us, just kind of looking at some of our district information. So, looking at the data, one thing that we just need to think about, they looked at the data and they said, okay, the kids have to have so many sessions on the software. There was a criteria to the data. So there's 180 students we're going to look at with this data. There were more students in Read 180, but let's say they started first trimester in Read 180 and their scores went up and they were removed from that class second try. Their data's not here because they didn't spend long enough in the classroom. We had kids that entered second and third try. So some of that data isn't there, but it's 180. When they pulled our final report, Scholastic said that there was an evidence of strong growth with low to moderate software use. And we really didn't have low software use. Read 180 is based on a 90-minute block. We don't have 90 minutes with the kids. We have 51, 52, something like that. So we actually were doing a 2-day block. So they really didn't have low. The teachers came in right where they should be, being that we were half that. So Scholastic, when they said that there was a strong growth, they said that is huge. They said they have not seen scores like this in a really, really long time from a district. It was pretty exciting to sit and listen to them. All 3 of our schools exceeded their end-of-year goals with the students. So we were very, very, very excited about that. So the next slide shows just a summary. They measure the reading scores by Lexile. So this is a summary of the SRI, which is the assessment they take, and it's their growth. So 86% of the students improved that Lexile level. Every student is given an end-of-the-year goal. Not every student's the same. You may be in 6th grade, but your end-of-the-year goal may not be to be at 7th grade. If you're reading at a 2nd grade level, you're not going to make that much gain. So they, give you what their end-of-the-year goal is. We had 73% of our kids exceeded that end-of-the-year goal of what they should have grown. And we had 53% exceed that goal twice. what they were supposed to grow. So we were really excited about it. We actually administered this assessment to all of our 6th through 8th graders. 6th graders took it 3 times, and 7th graders took it twice. So we're excited to use this measure as we go along. I've walked the hallways and hear kids talking about their lifestyle levels. We had kids begging to retake if they didn't get exactly where they wanted to, which is probably one of the first times I've ever had a student ask me to retake a test. So we were excited about that. So looking at the results, Superstars is something that Read 180 does. They will send us a list of our Superstars, and it's based on students who have used at least 20 sessions of the software. They have to complete at least one segment, and they have to have a growth of between 1 to 4 year reading levels. We had 187, and Scholastic, when they were here, were like, we haven't seen that. Like, to have 187 of your students earn Superstar status is just out of this world. It was awesome. So we are going to be doing, we have that list and are going to be doing something with those kids in the fall. They're going to get a certificate for that, so we're excited about that. The next slide shows our Lexile gains by site. So you'll see the Lexile growth and what the end of the year goal was. So for example, Hoover's end of the year goal was 82, and their growth was 185. West was 64 was the end of the year goal, and they got to 134. 6th grade Academy was 69 goal, and they got to, mine's really small, 88. 88. So, I mean, we were excited to see that. You know, we really are seeing the results of this in the students, and it's not just in this measure. I loved walking into these classrooms and listening to students talk. I had students tell me, wow, that just helped me on my science test. Like, you know, Mrs. Barway just showed me this, and then I could use it when I went to science test. It was awesome to see them use these in their classes. The next one is just kind of information for you to show you. They gave us so much data, but this is something that we do look at, you know, our subgroups. It's something the teachers can look at. It's something that we, as a district, also look at and pull out throughout the year and look at. So that was just kind of a sample to show you that, you know, it's not just overall SRI, but we're looking at and breaking it down within our subgroups. The next slide talks about, they look at college and career readiness and different performance levels. This is really small. So on this one, it shows that the initial SRI, like below basic, we had 236 students, but then currently at the end of the year, there was only 136 in that below basic, so we were moving students up. The next one shows, they pulled apart, you know, because there's a lot of things that can skew your data, and so they pull out those students that kind of maintain their performance levels. So maybe they stayed in the below basic, but their Lexile levels still went up. They just didn't go up enough to move them into that basic. And when they did that, they found that in the below basic, you know, you started with 150, but the change in Lexile was 150. The low end annual goal was 107. So we still were having a change in Lexile. They still are learning. It's not like we, you know, those kids didn't learn anything because they didn't move from below basic to basic. The next slide shows you that about technology, about how many segments. So if you look like under 5 segments, we had 136 students. There was a change of 91. We, you know, looking at this as the teachers, when they did this report, we had some of the teachers with us, and they said, all right, we see that using that software is important. It's not the whole program, but it is important. So they're already talking about ways to have the kids have a little bit more time on that software, because what we saw with our students, those that got through more segments on the software had a higher gain in their Lexile levels. So it was great to have that discussion with them, and it really is helping drive the instruction in the classroom. This last slide shows the data without, there were a few students, handful, I think it was 10, that their scores went down by over 100. We really worked, you know, it's not like the kids take this test and you're done, sorry. We work at retaking, absences are an issue. So there were a few that, for whatever reason, went down, so they kind of took that out. so that we could look at it. And again, I mean, the growth rates and those exceeding, I mean, students exceeding the average, 82% at Hoover, 74% at West, 65% at sixth grade. I mean, that's awesome. So we were very excited. I guess we knew things were going well, but it was kind of cool to have Scholastic come and bring in someone from Texas, you know, to come and say this and say, I go around doing this to schools all over, and these are the best that we have seen in a long time. I know that Mrs. Vardaway is out in the back, and I do want to recognize her. She is one of our Read 180 teachers. And I really, the teachers worked hard. It was a tough change. There was a lot of things that went into this technology. There was a lot of things at the beginning of the year. Everything wasn't totally set, and we had to work hard to get it done. And the teachers were absolutely amazing to get this done for the kids. So I'm really excited moving forward with this program next year. And after having 1 year under our belts, we're going to continue a little bit just of the coaching, not as much this year but as we had this past year, but kind of keep that just because it helps to keep learning new things. There's a lot of stuff. But wanted to make sure that I got to share our successes with you guys.
Is this